Hi everyone, today I just want to make a short video around the things I hated when I was drinking, and to be honest the list's absolutely endless. And it wasn't really until I was speaking to one of my mates at the weekend just on WhatsApp, and we're just having a bit of kind of chat when I was sitting in the hotel lobby and just having a coffee and just checking up on things on YouTube and emails, etc. And we just started speaking around kind of, well, he was asking me what I hated the most, and I just there and then wrote down some of the stuff. And the first thing I absolutely was one of the worst parts has got to be working on Mondays. I just remember being a British quintessential binge drinker, as I call it, and I've been off it since July 2025. Every weekend I was out, and there would be sometimes Sundays where I had a friend visiting, or maybe there was big football on or rugby, and I would go out and watch the game and end up just kind of topping up. And waking up on the Monday was just like absolute death. I couldn't get into anything. You still had the fear, and they were even worse when on the Sunday I had just been in bed all day, maybe spewing, couldn't eat anything. I was one of those folk that just couldn't get an appetite after they were drinking. I've got loads of mates that are the opposite, but for me I just didn't really have an appetite. And the Mondays used to be horrendous, just every minute passing like a day, and the regret, the budget's out the window, you spent so much and all that stuff, and it was just a really horrible thing. And I think genuinely being off the booze now, that's probably one of the highlights, that I don't actually have to suffer that anymore. Another one was wasted holidays, and it was times during the holiday where, well, many holidays I went on that were kind of stag parties and things like that, and we would end up just going to the airport, getting absolutely wasted, and the first day was good. You'd be back with all your mates, etc. But then after a while, they just became boring. And what ended up happening is the 80% of your holiday, you're just sitting there absolutely dying and wishing the days away. And it's just, having been back from 4 days at Budapest, it was just another stark reminder about how much fun you can have when you're away. And you don't need to have booze, and you need to ask yourself, is it really that fun? Even if you're going on a all-inclusive kind of holiday where everything's paid for and it's unlimited booze, it's just nothing compared to what a sober holiday was like. And I was actually having a conversation with my boss when I was back yesterday at work, and I can't remember, I can't even seem to think how many cities I went to where I just got drunk the whole time, and I can't even really remember anything. I can't really remember journeys to the airport and back. I can't even remember what the city looked like. I didn't even really see any of the city, and it's just not really a way to enjoy it. And not only are you kind of not enjoying it, but you're forcing booze down you and all these kind of mock cocktails just because you're so bored of the beer. I mean, like I say, is that even a fun holiday? And that's just one thing I used to kind of hate when I got into my 30s, the fact that all these stag do's, etc. I went on, which I really enjoyed when I was younger, don't get me wrong, it just became boring, and I hated it. Another thing is what I call is can't be arstitis, and it's just the brain fog pretty much. And I used to absolutely hate having it, and I think it was kind of one of my biggest annoyances, if I'm being honest. When I first quit alcohol in 2017, and I quit for 5 years, I got a taste of what life could be like. Before 2017, I honestly didn't even think I could feel that good anymore. I just thought that was just part of growing up, where you'd feel lethargic half the week, and you would go through it with hangovers, and you would just kind of not really get much done. The amount of courses I started, and just, I went back to uni to do my masters and paid loads of money for it, and I just didn't even get it done. It was just something that didn't materialise. And when I went back on the booze in 2022, when I thought I could moderate, become this moderate drinker who has 1 or 2 drinks and goes to a party and, like say, has 1 or 2, and then just, oh, that's me, I'm calling it a day. When I when I ended up getting back on it, it was probably the thing I hated the most, because when I was sitting there on my couch and there was DIY that hadn't been finished, courses I'd started and not finished, laundry wasn't done, just treading water and everything, I knew what I was capable of, because a year before, a few years before, 6 months before, I knew what it was like. It still was fresh in my mind. And to finally get rid of that brain fog, or the can't be arsed-itis as I call it, just a play on the words, just to get rid of that and to be smashing every single day now is just a complete different way of thinking, just getting things done, having no DIY to do, on top of your banking, on top of your finances, on top of your fitness. It's just, that brain fog is just one thing that is just something that I'll never miss. Another one is just looking dreadful. I remember especially the second time, because by 2025, when I quit last year, I would have been up to 41. So the second time I kind of got back on the booze, I would have been 39 to 41. And the amount of times I looked in the mirror and just thought, you look absolutely dreadful, was just incredible. Just bags under my eyes, red eyes, dry blotchy skin. My beard just looked awful. And it's not a vanity thing at all. Nobody wants to look in the mirror and just know that they look dreadful. And I actually remember back in a time when it was 2017, it was maybe 3 months into my first sober journey, alcohol-free journey. I remember looking in the mirror, it was summer, and I just got, I think it was the end of summer, I'd been on a holiday, and I just got a haircut when I was back, and I trimmed my beard. And like I say, it's not a vanity thing at all. I remember looking in the mirror just thinking, I cannot believe how much better you look, like genuinely. And even if you compare to what I look like now compared to 6 months ago, it's chalk and cheese. Like I say, that those bags under my eyes and just looking a bit haggard and a dry beard, you just looked awful. And like I say, I don't think anyone really wants to look like that. And the final thing is another thing I hated about the booze was how everything had to revolve around drink. Every time I went to the football or the rugby, it was always, is there a pub near? At the rugby, we need to get booze early to get to our seats. What's the queues going to be like at half time? And it would always be stuff like pool or darts, because in the pool hall you can drink. And at functions, it was like, are they going to be offering booze after it? And it just became so tiring. And like I said, the video I released yesterday about my holiday to Budapest, it was like at the airport, is the airport bar going to be busy? When's the trolley going to come up on the plane? Should we get a taxi from the airport to the centre so we can get a pint in? Hopefully we can check in quickly so we can get to the bar. And it's just such an awful way to live, and it's just something that I'm so grateful that's not there, that you can make these decisions and it doesn't have to revolve around a bar being there or a drink being served. You can just go there and think about things that normal people think about and enjoy life. Anyway, thanks for watching this video. Hopefully you enjoyed it, and I'll see you in the next one. Take care.